Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Tammy Reed in with your VON Major News package for today, Monday, May 27, 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, Nevis Disaster Management Department cautions public on information disseminated during 2019 Atlantic hurricane season, and the Premier of Nevis condemns a UK article on blacklisted Russian. Regionally, last 2 of 8 Trinidad and Tobago prison escapees back behind bars. Internationally, man dies on plane after ingesting 246 cocaine bags. And in sports, Toronto Raptors beat Milwaukee Bucks to seal NBA Finals place. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back, and now the national news in detail. June 1st marks the official start of the 2019 Atlantic hurricane season. On Monday, May 20th, subtropical storm Andrea formed 9 days ahead of the season. In light of this, the Nevis Disaster Management Department has been making significant strides to ensure preparedness in the eventuality the island is impacted by one of these weather systems. The department is engaged in an island-wide awareness campaign in partnership with faith-based organizations on Nevis and the Education Department. In light of these developments, Director of the Nevis Disaster Management Department, Mr. Brian Dyer, has encouraged persons residing here on the island to be cognizant of information that will be disseminated throughout the 6-month hurricane season period. He admonished citizens and residents to use only verified information.
We will make frequent visits to Vaughan Radio, or we can call in and report whatever information is there to be had. We also receive information from the Met Office. We want persons to listen to the official sources of information. It comes from the Met Office. Sometimes the information that comes from the National Hurricane Center is erroneous, and the authorities, the Met Offices and Disaster Management will have discussions, and then we have to relay that back to Miami for them to correct the issue. So we want persons to listen to the official sources. Yes, sometimes the information is published and persons may take it and run with it, but it has to be vetted. Whatever comes from the National Hurricane Center must be vetted by the local authorities before we can make an announcement. So even other persons may run with it and publish it right away. The Disaster Management and the Met Offices cannot do that unless it is vetted.
Director of the Nevis Disaster Management Department, Mr. Brian Dyer. During the 2017 Atlantic hurricane season, officials issued statements asking individuals to desist from disseminating misleading information on the season, which saw 2 major hurricanes, Irma and Maria, causing minimal damage to the Federation and ravaging several other Caribbean islands. According to forecasters, the 2019 season will have 13 named storms, 5 hurricanes, and 2 major hurricanes. Premier of Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley, has strongly condemned a UK publisher, The Guardian's article, which claims a European Union blacklisted Russian lawyer, Andrei Pavlov, has associations with him and the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Published on Friday, May 24, 2019, the article claims 2 members of the European Parliament, Anna Gomes and Mariette Schaake, had written to the President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, calling for the termination of the visa-free waiver for St. Kitts citizens after it emerged that Mr. Pavlov, who was blacklisted since 2014, had visited the EU 70 times over the past 4 years. It went further to imply that Mr. Brantley, who was then leader of the opposition through his law firm, Daniel Brantley and Associates, assisted Mr. Pavlov in obtaining St. Kitts and Nevis citizenship back in 2014 and has entered the EU through his SKN passport. Ms. Juliet Garside, a journalist for The Guardian and author of the article, spoke to Premier Brantley on May 24, 2019 about the article, and thus a press release from the Office of the Premier was circulated to discredit and clarify the claims made by Ms. Garside in her article. The statement from the Office of the Premier states, and I quote, "The article does not and cannot offer any evidence to the contrary. It, however, seeks to discredit by innuendos," end of quote. The press release also included that Premier Brantley nor his law firm has not nor ever had any associations. Also, Mr. Pavlov has never possessed a St. Kitts and Nevis passport and thus has absolutely no associations with the Federation of any sort. Secretary General of the St. Kitts Nevis National Commission for United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, Mr. Antonio Maynard, will be retiring as of May 31, 2019. Under Mr. Maynard's tenure, he guided UNESCO's intervention in St. Kitts and Nevis, including the provision of policy development advice to the Federation across its entire mandate. Mr. Maynard's achievements include initiatives such as the ratification of the Anti-Doping in Sports Convention and most recently a workshop which focused on the effective use of social media for 50 young journalists from St. Kitts and Nevis, which took place from May 14th to the 16th. He also, through UNESCO, secured funding and support for 55 small-scale projects called Participation Program projects amounting to over 8 million EC dollars from 2004 to 2018. St. Kitts and Nevis has also been a member of the UNESCO Executive Board of 8 years, from 2006 to 2009, and again from 2014 to 2018. St. Kitts and Nevis became a member of UNESCO in 1983. Since then, the country has benefited from the implementations of UNESCO programs and activities. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris will host his monthly press conference on Wednesday, May 29th. It will be held in the Parliamentary Lounge at Government Headquarters from 2 p.m. Members of the media will also have the opportunity to ask questions for the public. At the forum, the Prime Minister will seek to once more update citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis on matters of national interest. Nevis's Premier, the Honorable Mark Brantley, will host his monthly press conference on Thursday, May 30th at 10 a.m. The forum will be held at the Cabinet Room on the second floor of the Social Security Building at Penny's Estate. At the conference, Premier Brantley will provide an update on matters of national interest. Members of the press will be afforded the opportunity to ask questions for the benefit of the listening and viewing public. The press conference will be carried live here on Von Radio. CASPA, or the St. Christopher Air and Seaports Authority, has pledged its commitment to improving the facilities at the RLB International Airport in St. Kitts by entering Phase 2 of the airport's rehabilitation project. The project covers the resurfacing of Taxiway A, which has been out of operation for many years, and a phase extension to include the resurfacing and reinforcement of the apron. Phase 1, which included the resurfacing of the airport runway and taxiways B and C, ended March 2019. The upgrades at the airport are one of the capital projects that are being undertaken by CASPA. Another project is the addition of a second cruise pier at Port Zante Cruise Terminal. Completion is scheduled for September 2019. At the two-day regional conference titled Digital Economy Moonshot for the Eastern Caribbean in Washington, D.C., policy leaders from around the region explored ways to advance the services within the digital economy throughout the Eastern Caribbean. This consultation aims to assist in the development of an action plan for a regional project to be supported by the World Bank. Points raised at the meeting include the incorporation of the education sector as well as the agricultural sector in the digital transformation of the Eastern Caribbean. Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Mr. Timothy Antwine, said that there needs to be a focus on learning as well as training and reorienting of our population. The ECCB governor also stressed that the major reason for poverty is a lack of employment, especially for our youth. A report from U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DSH, for the fiscal year 2018 indicates that over 200 nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis are among the over 42,000 Caribbean nationals from across the Caribbean region who overstayed their non-immigrant visas and stayed in the U.S. between October 2017 and September 2018. The figures were released by Acting Homeland Secretary Kevin McAleenan in the 2018 Entry-Exit Overstay Report. The report states that some 214 nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis overstayed their non-immigrant tourism business B1, B2 visas that were granted to enter the country between October 1, 2017 and September 30, 2018. A total of 11,764 Kittitians and Nevisians were granted entry into the United States during the period under review and were expected to leave after the time given to them to remain in the United States. The report also indicated that it has no departure records of 203 Kittitians and Nevisians now classified as suspected in-country overstays. According to the report, St. Kitts and Nevis has one of the lowest overstay rate at 1.73%. Other Caribbean community countries in that category with low overstay rates are Trinidad and Tobago with the lowest overstay rate at 0.40%, followed by the Bahamas 0.475%, Barbados 1.11%, St. Lucia 1.86%, and Belize 1.93%. As the 2019 Culturama festivities approaches, the Nevis Culturama Committee will be seeking to address concerns of participants of the Senior Kaiso and Soca Monarch competitions. One such concern is in the area of judging and complaints being levied of unfair treatment. As such, the committee will be hosting a judging workshop in June that will ensure a robust judging system is in place. Suggestions have been put forth with the bringing of trained and qualified judges from overseas to ensure a fair and unbiased competition. Executive Director of the Culturama Secretariat, Mr. Antonio Abernathy Liebert, in an interview with the VOA Newsline, explained that there is little merit to this recommendation.
I do not think it's a good idea because there are certain things that Calypsonians sing about that is pertinent to Nevis, and judges coming from overseas would not be up to date with the things that are happening here. Some of the things that the Calypsonians sing may be foreign to them, so they may be lost. So I think to bring judges from overseas really is a bad idea. What we have to do is to create a new pool of judges, and very shortly we will be making an appeal in the media for persons who are interested in judging Calypso, not only for Culturama 45, but beyond that. They can register their names at the Culturama Secretariat, and thereafter we are going to have them trained so that we know we have a pool of freshly trained judges that we can call on to adjudicate our Calypso and also our Soca Monarch contest.
He further gave this admonishment to individuals that will be a part of the judging process for these two competitions.
What persons have to do is that once they are called upon to judge and once they have accepted the call, is to remove all biasness and judge the competition fairly. Also, if persons know that they are affiliated to a Calypsonian in any way, they should remove themselves from the judging panel. Or if asked to judge and a particular Calypsonian that they are affiliated with is in the competition, say to the chairman of the Calypso subcommittee that I have a biasness or I have a close relationship with this particular Calypsonian and I would prefer not to be a judge.
Executive Director of the Culturama Secretariat, Mr. Antonio Abernathy Liebert. Finally, police on St. Kitts are currently on the hunt for a man wanted in connection to a wounding incident. Wanted is 66-year-old Purcell Sylvester Hope of Newtown, St. Kitts. Hope, who has a warrant out for his arrest, is wanted by law enforcement authorities for the wounding of an individual which took place at the Independence Square on Friday, May 17, 2019. Hope is 5 feet 5 inches in height, dark in complexion, has black and gray hair, brown eyes, and medium build. Anyone who sees or knows of the whereabouts of Purcell Hope is asked to contact the Criminal Investigations Unit of their nearest police station. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019. That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. Just swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for two, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family, just swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back, and now the regional news in detail. In Trinidad, after 10 days on the run, the last 2 of the 8 inmates who broke out of the Golden Grove Remand Yard prison are back in custody. Orland Tony Denbo and Michael Finley were found at a home in South Oraposh on Saturday evening, a statement from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. According to Caribbean 360, the statement said, acting on information, the Special Operations Response Team, members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, and other security agencies went to the house where the men were hiding and arrested both escapees. The arrest was incident-free. Denbo and Finley, both on remand for a double murder, had escaped from prison on May 15th with 6 other men. The others were captured within 24 hours of the prison break, but Denbo and Finley continued to elude lawmen. They had even published a video which went viral on social media in which they claimed they were being framed for murder. The duo is accused of killing Andrea Latouche and Abiola Noel at their Laventil home in February 2016. However, Police Commissioner Gary Griffith has made it clear it was for the justice system to decide on their guilt or innocence, and police would continue to actively search for them until they were recaptured. News from St. Lucia. Prime Minister Alan Chastney is requesting the public's assistance in reporting scams in which persons are using fake social media accounts in his name to contact members of the public about grant assistance for projects. The Prime Minister made the appeal in a post on his official Facebook page on Monday morning, May 27th. He said an investigation is underway to identify the scammers and suitable action will be taken against these individuals. According to stlucianNewsOnline.com, he wrote, "It has been brought to my attention that there are several fake accounts in my name contacting persons about grant assistance for projects. Please note that none of these accounts belong to me, and at no time will I or any government minister message you directly about such programs." He also encouraged all to notify all their Facebook friends about the scam to avoid anyone losing their hard-earned money. Out of Antigua and Barbuda, teachers have become increasingly concerned about the observation that the use of marijuana in schools has increased. During his State of the Union address at this year's annual General Conference on Thursday, President of the Antigua and Barbuda Union of Teachers, ABUT, Ashworth Azil, said that he voiced his fears about the possible negative impacts on education following the government's move to decriminalize up to 15 grams of the substance. He alluded to his disappointment with the silence on the growing issue in the nation's educational institutions. Educators erupted in laughter as Mr. Azil described the growing curiosity of students wanting to experiment with the substance. He warned, however, that it is no laughing matter. Mr. Azil highlighted the need for parents and other authorities to be aware of a new role that has been placed on teachers as a result of the presence of marijuana in schools. In 2018, he attempted to hand over the then illegal substance to the police, but they referred him to lawmakers as they too were just beginning to navigate the emerging trend. The ABUT president cried out for serious efforts from the country's policymakers to educate the public on the use of marijuana and the laws pertaining to it to prevent its misuse, especially among minors. Out of Dominica, Prime Minister and political leader of the Dominica Labour Party, DLP, Roosevelt Skerrit, is gearing up for the upcoming general elections as he presented Octavia teacher Bonnie Alfred, a former high school principal and wife of a pastor, as the DLP candidate for the Castle Bruce constituency. Addressing supporters decked in red, the DLP's official color, at the playing field in Sikwi, Castle Bruce, Skerrit made a compelling case on behalf of Alfred to the voters by stating the United Workers' Party, UWP, is in Roseau launching 21 candidates. This evening, the DLP is in Castle Bruce launching 1 candidate. Skerrit further distinguished the DLP from the UWP, reminding supporters and prospective voters of the difference between quantitative and qualitative. This is a lady that I would not want to run against as a candidate. She is a well-rounded and competent woman. Skerrit proudly proclaimed that Dominica at present, following the passage of Hurricane Maria 20 months ago, is in a very precarious state. In his conclusion, he said to the crowd present that you need to vote so as to keep Dominica afloat. That's it for our regional stories. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. A Japanese man has died on a flight from Mexico City after ingesting 246 bags of cocaine. The flight, bound for Japan's Narita International Airport, had to make an emergency landing in Mexico's Sonora state after he began to have seizures. Authorities said the man, identified as Odu N, died of a cerebellar edema caused by a drug overdose. The passenger was transferred to the flight after starting his journey in the Colombian capital, Bogota. According to a statement by Sonora's Attorney General, the bags measuring 2.5 cm long and 1 cm wide were found in his stomach and intestines during the autopsy. Parents and patients who have had a stroke caused by bleeding in the brain can safely take aspirin to cut their risk of future strokes and heart problems, according to a new study. Aspirin thins the blood, and so doctors have been cautious about giving it, fearing it could make bleeding worse. However, the Lancet research suggests it does not increase the risk of new brain bleeding and may even lower it. Experts say the strong indication needs confirming with more research. Only take daily aspirin if your doctor recommends it, they advise. Aspirin is best known as a painkiller and is sometimes also taken to help bring down a fever. Finally, China has expressed anger after it emerged that America's most senior security official met his Taiwanese counterpart for the first time since the U.S. and Taiwan ended diplomatic ties 40 years ago. The BBC's David Banford reports.
Beijing's foreign ministry spokesman said the Chinese government strongly objected to the meeting that took place earlier this month in Washington between the US National Security Advisor John Bolton and Taiwan's National Security Chief David Lee. Previously, such meetings involved nobody more senior on the US side than Mr. Bolton's deputy. For Beijing, which still regards Taiwan as a renegade province, the difference is significant. It follows Taipei's growing concern about military maneuvers by Beijing in the Taiwan Strait.
That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
Need a car but don't quite have the deposit? You don't need a deposit with Suzuki Sign and Drive at TDC Automotive. Choose your Suzuki vehicle, sign up, and drive out. Get a brand new vehicle with 0 deposit, 5 years warranty, 1 year servicing, special financing and insurance, free flat screen TV with 3 months Flow TV package, free undercoating, free car care bundle, and so much more. Come in, sign up, drive out. Suzuki Sign and Drive at TDC Automotive. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and now the sports in detail. In basketball, the Toronto Raptors beat the Milwaukee Bucks 100-94 to seal a 4-2 series win and reach the first NBA Finals in their 24-year history. They will now face defending champions, the Golden State Warriors, in a series which starts in Toronto on Thursday. The Raptors are coached by Nick Nurse, who has extensive experience in the British Basketball League. Starman Kawhi Leonard scored 27 points and a career-best 17 rebounds to help the Canadian team make history. His side had lost the first 2 games of the best-of-7 series before reaching 4 wins in a row. In local football, the Security Forces football team, also known as the Polstars FC, has been named the Easter Cup and Final Four tournament champions for the 2018-2019 season. This accomplishment has landed the team a spot in the SKN FA Premier League. Team manager Inspector John Bergan said that they competed against teams like the Newtown Superstars, Garden Hotspurs, and the Trafalgar South Stars, who they defeated for the championship title on May 14, 2019. The team comprises of members from the Police Force, St. Kitts and Nevis Defence Force, Fire and Rescue Services, and Her Majesty's Prison. It currently consists of 3 coaches, a fitness trainer, kit manager, and 33 registered players. Inspector Bergan said the team was formed as a means of fostering good relationships with the community, and it also offered young officers a chance to display their talent on the national football stage. The football club has been a member of the SKNFA since 1963. Finally, on Friday, May 25th, Haiti announced their official squad of 23 players, becoming the first team in the tournament to declare who exactly will be in their squad. Haiti finished first in the Gold Cup qualifying group, while Bermuda finished 5th out of 34 teams. Bermuda football coach told Bermuda's local publication Bernews he expects that Bermuda will trim its roster from 40 names to 23 on May 29th. After playing Haiti on June 16th, Bermuda will play Costa Rica on June 20th in Dallas and Nicaragua on June 24th in New Jersey. That's it for the sports segment. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back, and now the local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight, partly cloudy with a 20% or slight chance of a brief shower. Weather tomorrow, partly cloudy with a 20% or slight chance of a brief afternoon shower. Winds east-southeasterly at 8 to 14 knots. Seas 1 to 1.5 meters or 3 to 5 feet. And sunrise tomorrow is at 5:36 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Monday, May 27, 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Nevis Disaster Management Department cautions public on information disseminated during 2019 Atlantic hurricane season. And Premier of Nevis condemns a UK article on blacklisted Russian. regionally last 2 of 8 Trinidad and Tobago prison escapees back behind bars. Internationally, man dies on plane after ingesting 246 cocaine bags. And in sports, Toronto Raptors beat Milwaukee Bucks to seal NBA Finals place. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tammy Reed, wishing you a pleasant evening.
When VON vibrates, the whole Caribbean must shake.
860 AM, the Powerhouse.
It is now 6:31 in the Eastern Caribbean. Good evening to one and all out there in Radio Land. Today is Monday, the 27th day of May, 2019. I am Melissa Martin. I'll be keeping you company this evening.
Hey, come here. When I study this life in this world, it's amazing how things does unfold. The two sides are clear, evident everywhere. Life is opposite forces fighting for a foothold. For it to be good, they must also be bad. They crisscross in life's matrix like a plan. So let's look at the way these forces interplay, not just in black and white, sometimes in shades of gray. The duality of life does blow my mind, starting with the IQ in humankind. We have some smart people and some real bam bam. If you ask who dotish, nobody says I am. We also have the pretenders in between, like market vendors who say things right, but they green. These opposite dimensions and those who live in space, they give color and perspective to the human race. Give me. No light. Now let's go a little deeper with this stuff. Let me show you how this life doesn't bluff. The Garden of Eden, where God created man, at the very seat of perfection, things got rough. Here comes a serpent to mess with Eve, causing the whole of creation to grieve. But if Satan didn't enter, earth would not need a savior. So Eve's mistake was part of the bigger picture. The duality of life does blow my mind. Even in the government, you're sure to find honest politicians and real old teeth, like expensive T-bone versus cheap corned beef. We have promise down to children toys, but only seen about jobs for all the boys. So remember, next time you're voting, make sure and hold your nerve and work out who to welcome and who to kick to the curb. Yeah. While we touch creation's story, let us look at how events unfolded in the great book. Jesus handpicked 12 people, his chosen disciples, yet one of them was a vagabond and a crook. For 30 pieces of silver he upon sold, the undisputed king of the world. But Jesus stood like a brick, he was ahead of all the gimmicks. He told Judas what you have to do, do it quick. The duality of life does blow my mind. Even in everyday relationships you would find you have faithful wives and real players. Sometimes all a man children resemble his neighbor. In making these life choices we must be smart. A square peg in a round hole could break your heart. Especially in this modern era, put your lover to the test. Make sure you feel a vagina and 2 real breasts. Give me. So let me bring my argument to a climax. Life is yin and yang, simple facts. Some people are evil, programmed by the devil. Just avoid them and try to stay on track. Remember that wicked king Nebuchadnezzar, that militant. You know God referred to him as my servant.